course, mindful is going bananas out there right now. Video 3. Today is January 22nd, 2019. I'm not a DBT professional, counselor, or anything else besides a DBT client and a long-time user of psychological services, willing and unwilling. I do have permission to read this material out loud on the internet by the teachers that taught me. The lady that wrote the material has no idea who I am or that I exist in life, but my teachers gave me permission. They're the ones that own the copyright on this version of the material, I guess. I'm sure they have copyright release for all the various books that are used, so I'll just kind of like, as I notice those, put out the books. It's always a good idea to get professional help. I go over the whole reason of why and how to guard yourself and why to guard yourself and my validation for thinking that kind of stuff in the intro video and kind of like in video 1 and 2. So that covers the warnings too. Anybody that watches this is doing it at their own risk. You can get triggered. And even though I make light of it, mental health work is a lot of work. It's hard work. And it can be really challenging, tough, stir up a lot of old stuff. It could be dangerous for a lot of different reasons. So take it seriously and joyfully at the same time, both at once. That is dialectical, which is what DBT is, dialectical behavior therapy. I'm not doing therapy though, I'm just reading from the book. This isn't therapy, this is skills training class. I'm not sure what the T stands for. I say transmutation, transformation, trans something or other, transliteration. Alright. So we're at the intro. There's 3 modules, and in between each module is a 3-week section of mindfulness. And at the beginning of the whole cycle, so you just go, there's the cycle over and over, same cycle over and over, 1, 2, 1 mindfulness, 2 mindfulness, 3 mindfulness, 1 mindfulness, so it just goes back and back and back. And at the very beginning, before 1, you go through the intro to DBT, and after that it's just mindfulness. So right now we're doing the intro to the whole deal, for if you were taking it at the place where I took it. Options for solving any problems. So all problems have options, basically these same 4 options to solve or resolve the problem. When life presents you with problems, what are your options? What are our options? What we can do? We can solve the problem. That would be option number 1. We can change the situation or avoid, leave, or get out of the situation for good. Or option number 2, we can feel better about the problem. That's totally valid too. We can change or regulate our emotional response to the problem. Right now my dog's barking. That's kind of causing me a little bit of distress. My emotional response would be like, maybe get him. Maybe let him keep barking. We'll see. 3, we can tolerate the problem. That's hilarious, kind of. We can accept and tolerate both the problem and our response to the problem, which we clearly just saw an example of as I decided what to do about my wretched dog barking. My dear wretched dog, named Mindful, from being here. And 4, our 4th option for solving any problem is we can just stay miserable or possibly make it worse. That's always an option. So 1, to problem solve, we use interpersonal effectiveness skills, if that's the type of problem that we're having. I mean, if I was having a problem with my exercise routine, I wouldn't necessarily use interpersonal effectiveness skills, but okay. So walking the middle path from interpersonal effectiveness skills, use problem-solving skills from emotion regulation skills. Some of these writings I don't quite get. So like to problem solve, I would go to whichever skill set I needed in order to solve the problem, and then I would use that skill set to solve the problem. If I decided that the option that I wanted to do was solve the problem. Sometimes I do any of the other ones, including stay miserable or making it worse, because nobody's perfect. Been doing these behaviors for a long time. Alright, in order to feel better about the problem, we use emotion regulation skills. Alright, oh, I see. Which skill sets are we doing in order to achieve? I see. Well, I still say to problem solve has the wrong solution down there underneath it, and I gave you a better one. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for that or not. Maybe nobody will notice. Probably nobody will notice. 3, to tolerate the problem, we use distress tolerance and mindfulness skills. Exactly. That's the best way to tolerate a problem. And 4, in order to stay miserable, you use no skills. Or possibly to make it worse, you can take the same skills and use them in reverse and create even more habits than if you used no skills at all to stay miserable. So, skills training assumptions. I guess I'll do that as the next one. Well, I don't want to make these too long or too short. Okay, we'll do these and then we'll do the next one. Skills training assumptions. An assumption, it tends to fall off my screwed up shoulder there. An assumption is a belief that cannot be proved, but we agree to abide by it anyways. Yep. Sometimes we agree willingly, sometimes we agree unwillingly, sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative, but definitely it's a belief that cannot be proved or that we have chosen not to prove. That's another way of dealing with it. And we agree to abide by it anyways. That's like the social code. You have to assume certain things. So here's the things that we have to assume. And then skillfully negotiate in order to get our needs met in a legal and non-harmful way. And it's really super tough sometimes. So here we go. Skills training assumptions and assumptions in life. There's 7 of them. 1, you assume that people are doing the best they can. All people at any given point in time are doing the best they can. Is it the best thing for any situation? Not necessarily, but it's always the best that they can. Even, just like they said, everything is the best that we can. That is bugging me, that reflection. I think I'm going to go turn on now. I'm going to focus. 2, people want to improve. The common characteristic of all people is that they want to improve their lives and be happy. Everybody does, in some way. 3, people need to do better, try harder, and be more motivated to change. The fact that people are doing the best they can and want to do even better does not mean that these things are enough to solve the problem. So even if we're doing the best that we can, even though we want to improve, we still might not be doing enough to solve the problem. That's just the facts. 4, people may not have caused all of our own problems, and they have to solve them anyways. And we have to solve them anyways. People have to change our own behavioral responses, and people have to change their own behavioral responses and alter their environment for their life to change. Period. Even though that we may not have caused all our own problems, we still have to solve them. In order to do that, we have to change our own behavioral responses and alter our own environment to make our life change. Sometimes it's pretty hard to do. I think that's why Christian people, the evangelical ones, do that born again thing, but I don't know for sure. 5, New behavior has to be learned in all relevant contexts. New behavioral skills have to be practiced in the situations where the skills are needed, not just in the situations where the skills are first learned, and not just in easy situations. You have to learn the skills, then take them to hopefully increasingly tougher situations. Sometimes you might just learn the skills in a tough situation. Could be a life or death situation. Sometimes you might just have to take them to a super tough situation before you feel like you're ready. But yep, it does no good to learn the skills and then just hang out in poofy la la land and never use them. 6. All behaviors, actions, thoughts, emotions are caused. So you could say this is karma. There is always a cause or set of causes for our actions, thoughts, and emotions, even if we do not know what the causes are. Yep. 7. Figuring out and changing the causes of behavior work better than judging and blaming. Yeah, it's true. Judging and blaming and shaming are easier, but if we want to create real change in the world, we have to change the chains of events that cause unwanted behaviors and events. And there's actually this pretty hard but pretty cool thing called, forgot what it's called, but it's all these circles that make a chain, and then we can track. Oh, it's really cool. It's really intense, and it's not yet. That's the end of that video.